with silver prices depressed so low, you're going to have more and more demand. So the free market is not working when we're talking about sourcing silver eagles. There's plenty of metal available. By definition, in a free market, they'll just have to pay more for that silver. So it kind of gets into everybody's saying, there's not enough silver. There is enough silver. There's not enough silver at $32 an ounce, though.
Okay. Yep. No, you're absolutely right about that. And let's shift over to Alan, who will have another question on behalf of Pref 1 Idiot. And Alan?
Yes. This question is actually somewhat related, Bix, to what you were just talking about. I can attest to the fact that we have monster boxes of silver that, especially coins that are available from dealers here in the United States. I bought some myself. But it seems that there are some dealers in other nations that are reporting problems in obtaining silver for their retail monetary bullion customers. And how far are we seeing the shortage of physical silver at this point, and how do you see that developing in the future?
Things are tight now, but it's funny. The way the silver market, the retail silver market tends to work is the higher the price of silver and the more attention that is focused on silver, the more people come in to buy. So when we had the buildup from $25 to $50, which was orchestrated by Bill Daley and sitting next to Obama, but as it went up, more and more people got in. And at $50, everybody keeps getting in because the excitement is there. Then they slam it, and all of a sudden, the retail market kind of fades. So it's kind of the opposite. The retail market tends to do the opposite of what's going on with the price. If the retail buyers were smart, they'd be loading up right now, and then
yes.
if they're trading, they sell some at 50 and wait for the next slam, or sell some at 75 or 100 and wait for the next slam. I don't do that. I'm not a trader, but the dynamics of, and you can see this in the reported sales of silver eagles from the U.S. Mint, because they report weekly on how much they're selling. And it's really interesting. As the price goes higher, people buy more. The price goes down, people buy less. It's kind of, people aren't great traders when it comes to buying silver.
It's very silly. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about recycled silver that could be used in industrial applications, and how long do you think it might take for silver's price to reflect salvage costs?
Silver recycling is it's an interesting topic, because depending on which application the silver is being used in will depend on whether or not it's feasible to recycle. Film, for example, it's obviously easy to recycle, and that a lot of that is done. Cell phones, such little amounts, maybe 1/100th of an ounce is used in a cell phone, so it doesn't make sense to do that.
Right.
So it all depends on what application. But what I do see is as the price of silver gets to be a true fair market value, say $800, $900. As it goes up in that range, what we're going to see is less of the disposable kind of silver, less electronics being made and thrown away, less, because right now you can get almost anything made in China and it's got a little silver in it, and you use it for 6 months and you throw it away because the next new model comes up. As the price of silver goes to, say, $1,000 an ounce, you're going to be seeing people holding on to these items longer because it'll be more, a little more expensive to make. But as far as recycling silver, there's going to be a strange dynamic when we go back to a gold and silver standard, because so much of our silver now that is mined today is used in industrial applications, and some of them will go away because that silver has a more important purpose in the monetary system. But some of it, a lot of it will, because it's used in such small amounts, will stay in the industrial applications. And as money silver can never be more valuable as money than it is in the industrial applications. Otherwise, people would just melt the silver money and use it in the industrial application. So it will be a really interesting thing to keep an eye on, the recycling factors. Right now, pretty much only the photo processing silver is recycled, and everything else is thrown in the waste dumps.
Very interesting, and thank you very much.
Sure.
For our last two questions in this section, we're going to flip things back over to Nad, who's again going to be offering the questions on behalf of Profidiat. Nad?
Okay, first of all, Chris Martenson recently stated that many natural resources, including silver, are entering the exponential drop-off stage of depletion. And like many of us, he believes that silver can eclipse gold in value. What's your take on future possible gold-silver price ratios?
Well, first of all, I had a couple of subscribers ask me to watch Chris Martenson's. He published it was a talk he gave about depleting natural resources, and I had a fundamental problem with his analysis, and here was my problem. He's a really smart guy, and he knows his stuff, but he refuses to use any data that he can't verify. So he tends to look at the published kind of mainstream data when it comes to natural resources and what's in the ground and what's above ground and things like that. And I think that's to his detriment. Other analysts do that also. If you don't take into account the manipulation, the fraud, the cover-ups, you're going to come out with an answer that is correct as far as the data is concerned, but is 100% wrong as far as what is available. Gold is a great example. If you use his numbers when it comes to gold, he uses the published numbers. The gold that is in the ground in the United States, for 100 years, the U.S. policy has been hide everything you have in the ground and use everybody else's first while they're accepting fiat money. And then when the whole thing crashes, we'll open our gold mines. There's oil all over the place in the United States. The Gull Island oil field is the largest field in the world by far. That's up in Alaska. It was discovered in the 60s, and it was capped. We don't want to touch it. We're not going to touch it until nobody takes fiat money anymore. As far as gold, the two largest gold mines in the world, by far, possibly millions of tons. One is in the Grand Canyon that was discovered in the really early 1900s, and it's a big part of what runs our fiat money system now. Had they used that gold that they found back then and brought that into circulation, remember gold was money back then, they would have devalued the currency by billions way back when there wasn't all that much gold floating around. Then the other gigantic gold mine is in Chocolate Mountain in California, and Dianne Feinstein has been instrumental in putting that into the National Desert Wildlife Preserve. Basically, that gold in Chocolate Mountain, it's right next to a military base, and it would triple or quadruple the amount of total gold in the world. So in the United States and around the world, countries, the very large finds, they'll put a little flag on it, put it around a military base and say, we will use this. We're just not going to use it right now. So when Chris Martenson comes out and says, well, we're running out of all this stuff, he doesn't bend far enough to say there is fraud and manipulation going on when it comes to how much natural resources everybody has.
Okay.
And I think that the other part of that question was the gold and silver ratio. Right now, at whatever it is, 53-1 or whatever it is, it's ridiculous. I think the ratio will at some point it'll hit 1-to-1 because there's 5 times more gold in the world than there above ground gold in the world than there is silver. There's a lot more silver in the ground, so it'll take a while to come back. But I think a ratio of 5 or 10-to-1 is what it'll settle out as.
Okay. You're a silver bug, and I have sort of a loaded question. Are there any reasons worth mentioning not to buy silver?
There's only one that I know of, and that is silver may become so important and so valuable that the government might move all out to nationalize silver, confiscate silver, restrict the buying and selling of silver. It is such an important part of the whole complex that's the only reason not to buy, is that it may be too important.
Interesting. I thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Bix, our next set of questions didn't really quite neatly fit into clean categories, so pardon us if these come across as a little bit scattered. The first of these questions is going to come from Romans. Romans?
Hi, Bix. This question is from another one of our forum members. Chinese Vice Premier Wang Qishan, I think I pronounced that close, mentioned the world, will be in a severe economic downturn. They, or other Asians, reportedly have been buying up silver. Would you expect the pace of buying of silver to moderate?
No, I don't expect it to moderate. Knowing that the Chinese have been working closely with the good guys, Alan Greenspan especially, for years, decades even, in the road to Ruta theory. They have been buying up probably 2,000 tons of gold every year consistently for 20 years. Of course, they don't report it, but the Chinese are on board with the road to Ruta theory. They have actually been threatening the bad guys in the U.S. and around the world that they need to stand down. So the industrial demand aspect of what the Chinese buy in silver is just a tiny part of what's going on in the silver market. At any moment, China can buy all the silver in the world and end this game in a blink of an eye. What they are doing right now and what they have been doing is using this time to build their manufacturing base. Everybody thinks that the Chinese will, when we destroy the dollar, the Chinese will be the worst hurt, but that's actually not true. Although they hold a lot of the dollar debt, they have been building their infrastructure. We have been building China's infrastructure. When the crash happens and we default on the dollar, which will happen, China will just nationalize all the U.S. and foreign manufacturing plants there and call it even. So China's in on the game, and they will probably sell all their U.S. dollars when they are asked to by the good guys. So they're in on it, and Wen Jiabao, their premier, is a geologist and used to work in the gold mines, and his wife is a gold expert, so they know exactly what's going on.
Okay, thanks, Bix.
Our next question, also having to do with China, is going to come from member Alan. Alan?
Yes, hi again, Bix. Buying gold and silver will back the Chinese currency, making it stronger in relationship to the dollar. Do you think it's a prudent move to be taking in an economic downturn? Trade items would cost more to sell. Possibly commodities would be less expensive to buy. It could possibly be very good for the bankers in the United States who now could open Asian sweat-style shops. So do you think that's good?
No, I don't see. Well, currently, the amount of gold held by a country does not influence the value of their currency. And those who say, it's all about the gold that a country has, will strengthen their currency. It's not true at the moment.